Hi, welcome to Film at 11. My name's Joshua Zeiber, editor of The Video File movie and home theater blog. With me today is my 11-year-old son, Thomas.
Yes.
This is the podcast where I introduce my sons to famous movies they've never seen before. Thomas, I'm going to start by asking you a kind of strange question. Have you ever heard of the movie Ted? It's about a grown-up guy whose best friend is a talking teddy bear.
No.
Okay. I did not expect you've seen this movie. I should hope you haven't seen this movie. It's a hard R-rated movie, and that is not the movie we're watching today. I was just curious if that had filtered down to pop culture at a 5th grade level yet. It has not, apparently, at least not in your grade?
Mm-mm.
Okay. Well, anyway, we're not watching that movie today. The reason I ask is that when you do watch it, you'll appreciate this a little more, because the movie we're watching today is a movie that the characters in Ted would really enjoy you watching, especially being too young to watch being too young to watch their movie. Because today I am going to introduce you to the greatest intergalactic rock and roll sci-fi adventure of all time. Yes, it's Flash Gordon. Thomas, have you ever... You've never seen Flash Gordon, I don't think. No?
No.
I hope not, because that would defeat the point of this podcast. Have you heard of Flash Gordon before?
Maybe.
Maybe. You ever seen a clip from it?
Maybe.
Maybe. You're in for something special and pretty weird, to be honest. I hope you enjoy this one. So we're going to get going and watch some Flash Gordon.
What the heck?
That's an appropriate reaction. Gordon's alive? Yes, we've just come back from watching Flash Gordon and Thomas. We have not talked about this since the movie ended. We haven't said a word about it. And one way or the other, whichever way it goes, I'm dying to know what your reaction to this movie was after first viewing. Did you love it or did you love it?
It was okay.
It was okay. Okay, so let's get into this. Thomas, what would you say was your, if you had to sum this movie up in one word, not about the plot, but about the movie itself? Do you have like a one-word description of what this movie is like?
Weird.
Weird, yeah. It's a pretty weird movie, isn't it? This movie was made in 1980, which is after Star Wars. So this is one of the many movies, big science fiction movies that came out after Star Wars. Did this remind you of Star Wars much?
A little, but not very much.
Not very much, no, because it went in a very different direction. Star Wars tried to have special effects that looked realistic for the day. Mm-hmm. Would you say this movie did?
No.
No, it really didn't. What did you think of the special effects?
They looked kind of non-realistic.
Yeah.
Cartoony.
Cartoony, yes, very cartoony. The movie is based on a comic strip that was originally published back in the 1930s. And it wasn't a comic book, but a comic strip, which would run a few panels at a time in newspapers.
Yeah.
And so this movie was very much leaning into that and went for a comic appearance rather than a sort of realistic looking plausible appearance. Mm-hmm. And so it had very bright colors, a lot of crazy colors, a lot of like goofy sets and costumes, especially what'd you think of the costumes?
They were very goofy.
They were very goofy.
They were goofy.
They were very goofy, and that was very much intentional, I think, because this movie was very much leaning into that, like the costumes, the colors, the sets. The plot. Yeah. I mean, the plot was very silly. Yes. Mm-hmm. And even the acting performances were kind of out there. Like nothing is small in this movie. Everything is very, very, very big and broad. Did you have a favorite character?
No.
You didn't? My favorite character was Voltan, the Hawkman, who bellowed every line he said.
Yeah.
He was fun. Yeah. So, I asked you before we started the movie to write down some notes while we were watching. Did you have any thoughts or questions?
My notes?
You were supposed to have 3 observations about this movie.
Okay.
What did you got?
Why were there 3 seats in the rocket ship at the beginning if there are only supposed to be 2 people?
Because there were. Because the person who made the movie knew that they had to get 3 people to the other planet, so they made 3 seats.
Dang.
Yeah, kinda. That's pretty much it. What else?
Why did all the people, why did all the alien guys, leaders,
Yep.
die in such crazy, outrageous ways?
Yeah, that's part of the comic book or comic strip nature of this movie, where it was just going crazy. It was just being crazy and doing silly things, like like when they would shoot one person and then everyone would drop dead, like that sort of
Yeah.
thing. Yeah, that was pretty outlandish.
That was like the next one of my question.
Yeah, what I love is that what Flash figured out that the best way to fight the evil armies of Planet Mongo was to use his football skills. And to basically just tackle them and throw a big ball around at their faces, and he used his amazing football skills to battle the army. Yeah. Anything else, Thomas?
No.
No, that was it. Okay. The other really important thing about this movie was, do you know?
No.
No, nothing else struck you as interesting about this movie?
The Earth was ending.
The Earth was ending. No, I'm talking about the music.
Oh yeah.
This was a very rock and roll science fiction movie. And did you recognize who did the music for this movie? Did you see it in the credits, or did the music
I saw
sound
it in
familiar?
the beginning.
And it was?
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember now?
Yeah, it was Queen.
It was Queen, yes. And do you remember what songs they've done?
No.
They did "We Are the Champions."
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's an example of one. Bohemian Rhapsody, of course. Yeah, and so the people who made this movie hired Queen, which was a rock band. They weren't traditional movie music composers. They were a rock and roll band to do the score for it, and they made a really rockin' score for this movie, which is simultaneously awesome and ridiculous, because the lyrics to the songs are very goofy. You know, Flash, you know, the lyrics are very corny, and I think that that the movie is just going for a weird combination of being awesome and being completely ridiculous, being so ridiculous that it circles back around to being awesome again. Okay. So on our scale that we have for this podcast of either a W or an L, what is your rating for Flash Gordon on a first viewing?
W.
A W. Okay. You seem a little ambivalent about that.
Yeah, it's the middle W.
It's a middle W. You know, I don't begrudge you that. I think that that's a very natural reaction to have to someone, especially someone in the modern day, watching this movie for the first time, because it's not a modern science fiction movie, is it? It's a very it's a dated kind of science fiction movie, but intentionally so. Like they didn't care, you know. They had crazy special effects that didn't look realistic at all. That looked very silly. They looked like models being flown around, and the movie just didn't care. Like they said, let's just do it. It's awesome. Well, I guess that's been our review of Flash Gordon. I do think that you might eventually appreciate watching this again in the future. We'll see. But that's been our review of Flash Gordon. If you enjoyed this content, please like, share, and subscribe. If you want a grown-up take on this or other movies, visit videofileblog.com. And before we go, I just got to say, go Flash, go!
Like and subscribe.
With me is my 11-year-old son, Thomas.
Yes.
And I was supposed to say something after that, but I've totally forgot what I was going to say, so let me try again.
How dare you? You ruined our first take. My hair looks like a mess.
Well, your hair is always a mess. No.
I walk a lonely road, the only
Okay.
road that I will ever know.
Wow. Wow.
Guys, I'm not emo. I walk a lonely road, the only...
We don't have copyright to that song, so you better stop singing it. All right.
Sad face. Hey, I fixed my hair.